Hey, how y'all doing? This is Mongo Slade, and today we're going to talk about Babyfaces and Heels. There seems to be a contingent of society where there's a crumbling of values, where there are people who are forgotten that it's wrong to attack people, it's wrong to steal, it's wrong to do these things. And from this new moral gray that we've created in society, we get this sort of seeping into our media as well, where now we're kind of not really supporting heroes or heroism. We're sort of seeing it as being boring, and that's not you're not being a real person because real people can't possibly be good. But there's this idea now that we're talking about something that is cliche or something that is old hat or passe or whatever the case may be, which is not true. It's not true. Okay. Our conception of baby faces and heels, good guys and bad guys, black hats and white hats, it is ingrained in us from the very beginning. We all have morals. We have moral foundations. I'm going to go into some psychology here. I'm going to go into a little bit of religion too. Just a little bit. Not going to, get on a soapbox. I'm not really a religious guy. But let's start right there, though. Let's start at religion, because your baby faces and heels start in your religion. If you're a Christian, which I'm pretty sure most people who are listening to this are, your first conception of babyface is going to be God, Jesus. That's your initial babyface right there. Maybe you're going to have and so what you're going to have from your first heel is going to be Satan or Lucifer, whatever the hell you choose to call him. Your eternal babyface, your eternal heel. Now, if you were following the Egyptian religion or the Egyptian mythology, you will have the sun god Ra, which is the creator, and then you will have Apep. And Apep is a formless name. It's a creature with 1,000 names, because names are something in Egyptian mythology that if you can name a thing, you can weaken it. So it has like 1,000 names, and these things is created at the same time as Ra. But there's this concept that the yin yang, that for every positive there's a negative, for every light there's a dark. That's just kind of how the world works. That is fact. It's fact, physically and metaphysically. Okay, so there is no so if you even if you reject religion, you can't reject light and dark, because you can't say light and dark don't exist. Now you can say, well, there's no value to light and dark. I can say, well, depends on whether you prefer light and dark. But that, of course, would breed us into relativism. And I'm trying to make an argument that it's not relative. So what we're talking about here is not light and dark, but we're talking about behaviors, and the behaviors of certain people, and behaviors of certain things that are clear, whether they're baby faces and heels. So along these Egyptian lines, you still have the brothers. In Christianity, you have Cain and Abel. In the Egyptian religion, you have Osiris and Set. Osiris, for people who don't know, Osiris is the son of Ra. Set is also the son of Ra. But Set is sort of the evil brother. He is the brother who slays Osiris. Similarly, you had Cain and Abel in the Christian religion, where you had, Cain kill Abel. These sort of things, it shows you that goodness and evil comes in pairs. Okay, it just functions that way. If you're going to have something that is pure, that is good, there is something out there that is evil. Even if you don't come across it, it does exist. Okay, so you can be just like there might be some really good people out there. There's some really, really evil folks out there in the world. Like there's some Dahmer level people out there who are out there killing and eating people. All right. So the idea that there are no baby faces and heels, or that's a passe concept, is like, it's impossible. It can't be passe. It is human nature. It is a basic function of storytelling. It is in every story possible. It is throughout sports. I'll give you some sports examples. When you go through sports, for starters, when sports was initially created, obviously there were no baby faces and heels. There were no good guys and bad guys. It's all about friendly competition. The heels were the guys who cheated, and then usually if you cheated, you got kicked out of the game or something like that. But throughout history, as you saw in wrestling, they started developing personalities. There became people that were not likable. They fought dirty, they cheated, they were known, they had bad reputations. So often these people had to wrestle under different names. So they would, these are during the shoot days, the hook days, where a guy would get a reputation for being a little bit of a cheater. Nobody would want to wrestle him because he wasn't a good sportsman. So he would have to change his name, go to a different territory. I'm talking about this as if it was a shoot, right? Now, as the worked era comes in, that actually turns out to be a good thing because now you got these people who are not likable, but folks are now willing to pay to see this guy getting beaten up. And this is where you get your Gorgeous George, because Gorgeous George and Classy Freddie Blassie and all these guys, they were the sort of the I wouldn't call them the first heels, but I would say that they were kind of influential because they influenced Muhammad Ali, who really kind of brought it into sports. Muhammad Ali played the heel by talking about how Sonny Liston is how he was being boisterous, he was being loud. He would call his opponents names, like he would call them monkeys and gorillas, and he would talk about how quickly he's going to knock them out, how great he is, and how bad he is, and he was a show off, and it was a way of he ended up being a huge draw, right? But even before Muhammad Ali kind of embraced the heel role. The heel role was thrust upon Max Schmeling, I think I said this before, the German boxer who, they pretty much, the American media pretty much told the world that this guy was a Nazi. He wasn't a Nazi, but that wasn't the point. The point is he was German at a time where America was at war with Germany. So you're a Nazi for the purposes of this fight, because they wanted to sell more tickets. And they said anybody who might be racist, they will see that Joe Louis, as an American, stands for the American values. He's a cultural hero. And even still today, Joe Louis is a cultural hero. I'll get into what a cultural hero is in a minute. But he's a cultural hero. He stands for our values. He's from here. He's one of our boys. Dark as he may be, he's one of our boys. And because he's one of our boys, he has to beat up the Nazi. We have been doing this dance with sports for years, and it began with Schmeling. Probably not even with Schmeling. It probably began before that with Jack Johnson, who was black, and they didn't want him to fight white people and stuff like that. I mean, we could go through that stuff all the time because Jack Johnson was also very boisterous and very loud, and he was sleeping with white women at a time where that could get you killed. But he was a badass black dude, heavyweight champion. They really weren't going to mess with him. But so that sort of aura of I'm willing to pay to see this guy get beaten up, that has not changed. We are still willing to pay to see people get beaten up. Floyd Mayweather, Adrian Broner, Conor McGregor. What's the new kid named Kobe Covington, the MAGA MMA fighter. People are willing to pay to see these people get beaten up. It is not cliche. It is not passe. It is ingrained in us that certain things trigger our desire to see somebody be hurt, and that's just natural. And it is objective. It violates our morality. So what are our morality? So now I'm going to use Jonathan Haidt. He has a book called The Righteous Mind. It is actually pretty good. You should read it if you care to read psychology books. So he has this moral foundations theory. And what he says is all human beings have these 6 moral foundations. They are care, fairness, loyalty, authority, sanctity, and liberty. And then he breaks down the 3 major political ideologies in the United States and says, which one of these things are more focused in which groups? So he says that conservatives or, sort of run-of-the-mill Republicans, they will have all 6. They value all 6 moral foundations. They value care, fairness, loyalty, authority, sanctity, and liberty. Liberals or leftists, they only care about 3: care, liberty, and fairness. And libertarians only care about two: liberty and fairness. Now, when you look at how our society functions, who is a heel and who is a babyface is going to be tripped by how you violate these different moral foundations in our society. Right? So what we learn here is that not everybody has the same morals. That some people have different morals than other people. And it could be due to genetics, it could be due to culture, it could be due to a lot of different things. But we can see why these people start to have they dissolve certain things and why they don't have these values. They just don't have it because they don't value it. They don't value, traditions. So something as simple as Babyfaces and Heels, they're not valued by these folks because they don't value authority or tradition. You know, they don't value the sanctity of certain businesses or a sanctity of certain industries. Like there's a long history, and wrestling is one of those things where if you listen to a guy like Jim Cornette, he talks about it almost like it's a religion because he sanctifies pro wrestling. Most people don't. A lot of the people who go after him think wrestling is stupid, and they will often say that. They will just be like, "This is just stupid wrestling. Why do you care so much?" Even the wrestlers will say stuff like that. This is just stupid wrestling. Why do you care? It's because to him, he's sanctified it. It's one of his. He probably would never admit it, but it's actually a very conservative value that he has. He values tradition to this degree when it comes to pro wrestling. Maybe not to everything else. Maybe not to politics, but to pro wrestling, he sees it as a sanctity. It's an issue. It's about traditions. He doesn't want the traditions of wrestling destroyed. So how can we coexist with these people? How can you coexist with these people who don't seem to share your values? What can you do? Well, you can, for starters, not take everything that they say so seriously. And you can just laugh at them like I do, which is what I 90% laugh. I really don't get that upset unless they get some type of, influence. And like if they get an influence where they can change, like affects people's jobs and stuff like that, then we got to have a real conversation. But for the most part, I can laugh at a lot of the things that they want to do. But back to the subject of baby faces and heels. You can make baby faces, and you have to depend on. But all right, before we get to the baby faces, to me, and it's my personal opinion, a baby face is an action word. It is a verb. It is something that you actually go out and do. Okay. And I see people make fun of like the invisible wall in wrestling, and they don't understand it. So let me explain to you what's going on here. So the invisible wall is the concept of when a babyface is chasing off a heel, he does not chase him. He does not continue to chase him. He instead stops at maybe the ropes or stops at the guardrail or whatever. Now, there's a reason why you would do this, and it's a very, very good reason. Because as a hero, you want to embody certain virtues. These are virtues that we all need to learn as men, as adults, as people. And women can learn them too. They can learn to appreciate them and to learn to embody them. But one of the biggest things is a moral foundation, which is actually mentioned by Jonathan Haidt, which is care. When a babyface is usually like when you set up a situation where a babyface will do one of those running away the bad guys. So let's run the simulation real quick. So you have this low level babyface, somebody like Brian Adidas from World Class Wrestling. Brian Adidas just wrestled King Kong Bundy. He got beat. He got beat, put down for the 5 count. After the match, King Kong Bundy decides that's not enough. He's going to keep pounding the kid. He's going to keep beating him, keep kicking him. And so what happens? Everybody who's watched wrestling knows what happens now. Babyface comes running to the ring. Kerry Von Erich. The crowd goes wild. Kerry Von Erich runs to the ring. King Kong Bundy gets the hell out of there. He hightails it. He runs away. He powders. Why? Well, because he's a coward. He's a babyface. He's a coward. He's a heel. Okay? Heels are evil. They are everything negative. So he's a. But why doesn't Kerry Von Erich just chase King Kong Bundy into the crowd and beat him up? Well, because there's a downed babyface here. Okay? He has to go care for that guy. As a man, And it's people, this is really underrated as far as men are concerned. We do care for our allies. We do care for our friends, our family, and where we're from. We have pride. We're a prideful, you know, I would say race, but a prideful gender, let's say. So if you are so compelled to leave and interject yourself into this situation that had nothing to do with you, to stop this injustice that you saw taking place, that you saw this guy getting stomped out, and you're like, no, I'm not going to watch this. And now that the guy is no longer stomping him out, okay, so you don't need to chase him anymore. I'm going to get you later. I'll get my revenge. I'll avenge this guy. But first, I have to make sure he's okay. So let's get some medical in here. You'll often see the baby face. Are you okay? Are you all right? And then they'll wave in like the doctors or the ref or whatever. He needs some help. He needs some help. It is about telling that visual story that this hero is actively being a sword. Now, I have to explain swords and shields. Now, this is another formulation that I came up with. That as a hero, you can be a sword or a shield. As a sword, you're running into the chaos to save and or restore order. You see, this is a typical video game conception. You know, as a hero, you get the call when they play from Joseph Campbell. You know, your hero's journey, you get the call, bang, you're Moses. The burning bush has told you to go to Egypt and bring all of God's oppressed people from Egypt. And that's your call. That's what you're told to do. If you're Link, you're told that Princess Zelda has been kidnapped, and she's been kidnapped by Ganon. You have to go collect the Triforce and defeat Ganon. You got the call. If you're Mario, you know that Bowser has taken the princess and he's holding her in one of these dungeons. You have to go out and find her and bring her back. You got the call. That's the call, right? As a hero, you get the call, you get off your ass, and you go figure out what the problem is. This is being a sword. You means you're going out, you're going to cut through the chaos, all the disorder, all the evil. You're going to go through and restore order. That's what you're going to do. So when a babyface runs to the ring to fight off 2 or 3 bad guys who are beating up somebody, he's going in to restore order. He is going in to be a sword. This is missing from wrestling today. I don't know how many times I've seen Raw, SmackDown, ECW, and not ECW, but AEW, and just about anything where guys would just watch a heel stomp a dude forever. Like Randy Orton will just beat the shit out of a guy for damn near an hour and nobody will do anything. You know, and this is kind of what, when Jim Cornette says like nobody comes out to help, it's not just a wrestling thing. It is a moral thing. Okay. It is immoral for a babyface to sit back and watch somebody get stomped out. Okay. It's immoral. You're not a babyface if you're not willing to stop it. And then sometimes you'll even see the crowd will call forth for a babyface to do something. Please do something. Somebody needs to stop this. This is terrible. Somebody needs to stop this. Now WWE has, of course, conditioned the audience to just think that this is great. Remember the Bayley and Sasha Banks thing where she seemed to beat on Sasha Banks for like 5 minutes. Another babyface should have come out there and said, look, what the hell are you doing? At least Bayley could have got some heat by knocking her down. Like, boom, get out of my way. I'm not done here. That's how you tell the story better. By showing that somebody else does care. They at least tried. You can always just have Bayley kick him in the stomach and kick him out the ring, or, hit him with a chair or something like that so they roll out of the ring. But you, as a sword, you're going in to try to restore order. And when you're a shield, it's the reverse. It is you're trying to maintain order. So you'll have a situation like on Raw where you had Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre. They were in the ring back to back as Retribution surrounds the ring. Retribution is chaos. They want to get into the ring and destroy and break stuff and cause problems. The heroes are trying to keep the chaos out. This is your Superman. Metropolis is a pretty good place. It's not corrupt like Gotham. Batman has to be a sword because Gotham is corrupt. The police are corrupt. The city council is corrupt. The mayor is corrupt. Everything is corrupt in Gotham, which means Batman has to go out into the night to fight the Two-Face, the Penguins, the Jokers, the Riddlers, all of these evil bastards who want to come out and create problems. He has to go out and find them. Superman, the problems come to him, because Superman is a protector. He's a defender. So when, Lex Luthor or Mongol or Darkseid or whatever wants to invade Metropolis, they have to deal with Superman. He goes into his, telephone booth. He comes out, and he goes out to see what's going on. He may go on patrol. Daredevil is another one, where Daredevil is the protector of Hell's Kitchen. He goes out on patrol to look and see if anybody's trying to cause problems or bringing problems into his city. He's like, no, you're not going to bring shit into my town. I have enough problems with the people already here. But his enemies are not the town itself, like Batman. Like Batman has problems with the actual town of Gotham. So you could, as a hero, you could either be a sword or a shield, and you have to make a decision. But you can also be both, because it depends on context. But these concepts, it is natural to human beings, like we naturally want to see wrongs fixed. We naturally want to see good guys win. People who embody virtues overcome over people who don't have virtues. And it does not matter what medium it is. To say that wrestling is, beyond good guys and bad guys, it's like saying comic books are beyond good guys and bad guys. It's like saying movies and TV shows are beyond good guys and bad guys. Like, no, none of it is. None of it is. You're not you're not smart by trying to create shades of gray. Shades of gray is not going to work. Shades of gray is not going to work. All you're going to do is trip over the problems that you've already caused. For instance, Adam Page. Why should I feel bad for Adam Page when he betrayed his friends? His friends then betrayed him. It's like, I don't get it. I don't get why I should care. Why should I care? He betrayed the Young Bucks. Now all these guys are mad at each other. Nobody is like the wronged party. The Young Bucks are a wronged party, but now they're going out kicking people who had nothing to do with it because they're trying to look like badasses. It's like that doesn't mean anything. If you're a wronged party, you should play up that you were wronged. That's how Babyfaces would do. Like, look, we got screwed, man. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on with him. I'm willing to help him, but he screwed us, and we need recompense. We need reparations, dog. But when everybody's mad at everybody and everybody's unlikable, why should I care? Why should I care if Kenny Omega doesn't like Adam Page? Why should I care? I don't care. Because I don't like Adam Page. He's a drunk. He screwed his friends. Why should I care? Because he's a sad boy? Because he's sad and he's all in his feelings? So what? He still screwed his friends. He doesn't embody any virtues. What virtues am I rooting for in Adam Page or Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks or in Cody, who was being arrogant 2 weeks before he got his clotheslined out of his weight belt by Brody Lee? He was a heel for 2 or 3 weeks before that. What virtues were he installed? Like then they do things to make people try to feel like they're a babyface. Like they did when Cody, they did the stretcher job with Cody. They had Cody give the thumbs up. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? That's babyface stuff. Like a babyface fights tooth and nail, gets his ass kicked, and then you're worried that, okay, he might be hurt. And then he gives a thumbs up like I'm okay. Like Rod Tidwell and was that movie Jerry Maguire, But when you were being a jerk for 3 weeks before this, I don't see why I'm emotionally attached to you and why I should care that you got beaten up. If anything, you got beat up, that's great because you deserved it. You earned it for how you've been acting the last 3 weeks. How he acted against Warhorse, how he acted against Sonny Kiss, how he acted against Jungle Boy. And he jumping back and forth between, oh, I'm gonna show respect this week, I'm not gonna show respect the next week. You know, it just doesn't make sense. It's no consistency. You need to be stable. That's one thing that a hero needs to be. A hero needs to be stable. You can't be like, I feel like saving the princess today, but not tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm gonna help Bowser kidnap the princess, but today I'm gonna try to go get the princess. Like, that doesn't make. What kind of game would that be? Like, imagine playing a Super Mario game where Mario actually helps Bowser kidnap Peach, and then 2 levels later you have to go and save Princess Peach from Bowser. It's like, you the one did it in the first place. You caused this problem. It's like, it's silly. And it all goes back because people do not have all of their morals. They do not understand. They don't have virtues. They don't value virtues. They don't value morals. They don't. Some of them just don't value like basic masculinity. That might be a problem too. They embody sort of. They have absorbed chaos values, which is nothing. Denialism. Nothing matters. Everybody is just flapping in the wind. There are no good guys and bad guys. Anybody you think is a good guy is really a villain deep down. I made some videos called cultural vandalism that'll be coming out soon, talking about this kind of stuff. But you have these ideas, but ultimately heroism is what you do. That's clearly what a babyface does. And in wrestling, it's a visual medium. We need to see that we can see people pandering and blowing kisses to the crowd and talk about how great the crowd is this evening and all that crap. But ultimately, it's all about showing people what kind of person you are. That's why they'll say if a heel doesn't cheat, he's a babyface. They're like, well, he doesn't. He's a heel, but he doesn't cheat. And then we're surprised that guy started getting cheered because he doesn't need to cheat. Brock Lesnar, he doesn't need to cheat. People start cheering him. So it's like, what do you do? You do the obvious. You have him cheat. Have him cut corners. He powders when he's getting overwhelmed. He takes 3 punches. He takes a bump. He rolls out of the ring. Shows some cowardice. It don't always have to be the same way. It doesn't, like, the soup doesn't always have the same ingredients. Okay, you can do these things 100 different ways. But the conception of we shouldn't have baby faces and heels is absolutely stupid. It is absolutely stupid beyond belief. It's dumb. And people who think that they're smart by eschewing traditional baby faces and heels, traditional good and bad, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's immoral. I mean, and you will often see that these people vote a certain way. These people have a certain ideation about life. I could just be straight up political and say that they're probably going to be leftist, especially because, again, it's progressive wrestling fans. I could just be political and say that, but it's not just them, because it's also a lot of other people who are like, I'm not an SJW, and I don't think there should be baby faces and heels either. It's like, yes, there should be. Yes, there should be. If it doesn't sustain life, it's evil, bro. Okay? Sorry. That's Ayn Rand right there, dog. But, and that's a little harsh. But ultimately, that's the idea that I'm trying to get across here, is that, yes, it is necessary for baby faces and heels to coexist. It does. You need it. Just like you need darkness and light, just like you need fire and ice, just like you need white and black, you need baby faces and heels. In order to tell a proper story of any kind, even going back to native mythology, native lore, how they created stories of how their tribe was created or whatever the hell, there's almost always a benevolent creator and an evil destroyer every single time. To think that you can escape that because you're a highbrow, super intelligent egghead, no. grow some balls, accept the fact that, that virtue exists, and try to find a way to live virtuously. Sorry, you just have no choice. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.